I've just bought myself the Beatles Red and Blue albums. There's nothing unusual about that. However, these ones are on Yoto cards, and Yoto cards are played in a Yoto player. And don't be surprised if you haven't heard of the Yoto, because it's a child's audio player. This is the latest third generation version. I think it's only just come out. It's ages 3 to 12 plus, it says here. Well, I definitely fall into the upper part of that category, but I just thought it was interesting that effectively a child's toy is getting album releases from the Beatles, but then again, they aren't ones to shy away from an opportunity to make money off their back catalogue. Another group that comes into that category would be Queen. This is their Greatest Hits Volume 1. I don't know if this is still the UK's best-selling album, but it was for a while. So there we go. We got the Beatles and Queen on a child's toy. Now, that's the kind of thing that you're more likely to expect a release like this. Pepper's Bedtime Stories. So I got one of those so we could test how good it is as a child's toy as well as an audio player for more popular music. And My First Words in French. Just thought that might be interesting because it might show things on the screen on the front of here in relation to that. As you can see, we've got a low resolution screen on there. And then we've got these cards. These are make your own cards, and these can contain podcasts, radio stations. You can record your own things on them. I just thought that was interesting as well. So we're going to test this out along with all this stuff. And in addition, I got the wireless charging dock just to fill out the set. And then, since we're playing around with the Yoto player, the new one, we might as well play around with the Yoto Mini as well. This is effectively the Walkman and the home stereo to play back our music on. So let's have a look at it. Right, now before I open the box up, let's just take a quick look around to see some of the features. That's the proper age of someone that's supposed to be using this rather than myself, but anyway, we'll carry on. So as far as parents go, this is very important. There's no microphone, there's no camera, there's no adverts. As far as the child is concerned, they just pop a card in the top, it then plays the audio, but there are additional features to that. For example, there's a alarm facility, there's a thermometer, it can play sounds to send you to sleep and white noise. Of course, it's rechargeable. One charge should last it for up to 24 hours of play. Now, as far as the parents go, they're going to have to connect this thing up initially to their home Wi-Fi, and to do that, they'll need to download an app to their phone, and there's the QR code for that. Looking at the features on this side, you can see that it's got stereo sound. So, no doubt that's one of the reasons why we've got these new cards for this. It's also a nightlight as well. It will work with 3.5mm headphones that you plug in just on the front there, but it will also work with wireless headphones, and it will work as a Bluetooth speaker as well. So it does quite a lot of stuff, this. Now, if this is sounding familiar as a concept, well, it's very similar to the Tonys that I demonstrated in a previous video. These have an RFID chip in the foot. Pop this on top of the speaker, it starts playing the audio associated with the character. It's going to be the same with these things. They're going to have an RFID chip in them. Not going to store the music in these. It's just a matter of getting the music off the internet, hence the Wi-Fi connection. But presumably there's a certain amount of storage inside here that will enable you to listen to that audio offline as well. Hopefully we can find out how much there is, but it doesn't mention it on the outside of the box. Apparently there's a 2-minute setup for this, so I should get on with that really. Okay, so first thing, we're going to plug it in, USB-C. 12 volt, 1.5 amps it says there, so a quick charging device as well. Right, continue. Okay, I've entered the Wi-Fi information, it's tried to connect to it, it's just gone green, made a nice sound, so I think that's it. Yeah, there we go. Right, I've been having my lunch, that'll have given it enough time to charge up. I'm going to say I do like this display on the front here. Now, rather curiously and confusingly, on the back of this packet it states to play this audio card, put it in a Yoto player or tap it on your phone. Now, I'm assuming it means tap it on a phone with the Yoto app installed and an account created rather than just tap it on any old phone, but we'll find out. Let's open one up and have a go. I think we should start with the earliest one. Right, so it's a plastic card, same size and shape as a regular credit card. At the bottom there, we've got copyright 2023 Apple Corp. Let's tap it to a phone and see what happens. Oh. So yeah, it looks like you could use this without the Yoto player, but let's just cancel out of that and put it in the Yoto player instead. Right, I'm just muting the sound down there because just a couple of seconds of a Beatles track played on YouTube will attract a content match. So without the audio playing, but just looking at the image that accompanies this track, can you tell what that track is? That is Can't Buy Me Love. And that is Ticket to Ride. I'll go through a couple more. Drive My Car. And, yeah, of course, Yellow Submarine. Now, to select this, you click in once you've moved the dial. Otherwise, it will just time out and go back to the track that you're currently playing. The audio carries on playing in the background, but, for example, if I was to scroll through to that, which, can you guess what that is? A little bit more tricky. Please, please me. But if I just wait a second, we go back to the track that's currently being played. Okay, so I can adjust the volume for the track using this one on the left. I can skip between the tracks on the right. And I was trying to figure out, how do you stop this thing from playing? Sometimes my stupidity amazes even me, because, of course, you just remove the card, don't you? And it turns out that you don't need the player, you just need the app on your phone to be able to use these cards. I've got the Beatles there on the right, and I can play that now, and I can jump through the tracks at the bottom, skip forward and back. If I was to go into the track list, I can see them all on screen here, and I can just select them. They've all got the icons down the side there as well. So I was wondering, since this app doesn't need any of the devices, and I don't really need to put the card in the player, would it work if I just put the card near the phone while it's still in its cardboard? I'd imagine these things aren't NFC shielded, so let's find out. This one hasn't been removed yet. Let's just have a go. Yeah, there we go. We're connected up with the card. Now, to me, this looks like retail packaging with a cutout at the top to hang it on the shelf of a store. But if it was in a shop, they'd need to keep it out of the way of the customers, because otherwise there's nothing to stop them taking it off the shelf, scanning it on their phone, popping it back on the shelf, and they've got themselves a free title. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I think it makes for a really nice little clock. There is a bit of an issue with that, though, if you were to try and run it off battery power, in that the screen goes off after about a minute and a half or so. Now, you can wake it up by pressing or twisting either of these knobs. I think the accelerometer will also wake it up. Yeah, there we go. So it'll come on now for another minute and a half. But really, if you want that display to remain on, stick your USB-C in the side here, or put it on its charging dock. We'll try that in a moment. Let's just have a look around the rest of it, though. So we've got a speaker on either side. So, of course, the stereo sound is kind of going out more over there than directly at me. But you do notice that it is stereo. I wouldn't exactly say it was hi-fi quality, but there's nothing wrong with it. We've got a 3.5mm out for headphones there. And, of course, as mentioned previously, it will also send off to Bluetooth headphones. And then around the back here, I believe that's the nightlight. We haven't tried that yet. We've got rubber feet on the bottom, and there's our on-off button that we saw earlier on the side, and our slot for the cards on the top. So, simple little device, but let's just get this wireless charging dock out and pop it on that. I think that's probably the best way to keep it charged. Right, so is that permanently attached? I think it is at that end, yep. And then the other end is a USB-C. Right, so I'd imagine this is magnetic. Let's find out. Yep, there we go. Okay, now that the display is staying on, I'm just going to go into the settings here, of which there are many, and change the clock to show as a 24-hour mode. It's always my preferred display. There we go, 1511. Now, looking through here, there's a load of different things that we can set. The headphone volume limit, the automatic power off time when it's on batteries, what the buttons do when there are no cards in place. We're going to try that in a minute, because it says the first press will play Yoto Daily, and the second press will play Yoto Sleep Radio. So we'll have a look at that. Volume limits for the night time, display brightness, what time bedtime is, what the colour of the night light is. You can choose between various different colours, and you can also choose various different colours of morning light, and that's set to go on at 7:30. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. Set the alarm as well in here, and it tells me that the temperature in the room at the moment is 21 degrees C or 69 Fahrenheit, and that the device is currently charging. So let's just try pressing one of those buttons like it mentioned. So we'll try this one. Not a lot. How about that one? Oh, what's that one? That means it's getting something from the cloud. Oh, turn it up a bit.
Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, 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 welcome. Give me a wave. Wave to me. I'm waving too. Don't make me feel silly. Wave back to me. Come on. You two grown-ups, everyone give me a wave. There we go. That's nice, isn't it? Give me a thumbs up. There we go. Thumbs up, everyone. Give me a double thumbs up. Both hands. Double thumbs up.
Okay, well, that's enough of that
Give
for the
me a
moment. Let's do that
high
double
five.
press and see what that does. There we go. Oh, it's gone off. I think I've perhaps triple press. I get it. You press it once to get into that, and then press it again to get into the other thing. So I just have to wait a little bit. Right, 1, 2. There we go.
Love is needing to be loved. Love is you.
You know what? That sound quality is not bad at all, really. Now, I thought I should demonstrate the alarm feature. So we're in the app and we've got the add an alarm option at the top of the screen. You can have multiple alarms. We'll just click that there, and that gives us the option to set the time, the days of the week for that alarm, what sound it's going to play, how loud it's going to play it within reason. And remember, of course, the parents have access to this app so they can remotely set the alarm on their child's alarm clock. Now, the different sounds we've got in here, some of these are for going to sleep. We've got the sleep radio down at the bottom, so let's try that. Let's just turn the volume up a little bit. This is supposed to send you off to sleep, which I think it probably would do. And we can also have the Yoto radio come on, which just plays a variety of children's tunes. Now, as well as that, we've got Wake with Jake.
Wakey, wakey, rise and shine.
I don't want to hear that in the morning. Surf's Up. No, perhaps a little bit much. Fanfare. Yeah, I definitely don't feel like that in the morning. Heart Rise, this sounds a bit more relaxing. Oh yeah, go for that one. Time for School. Oh, no. Nightmare material, that one. And we've also got Time for Bed. We'll talk about nightmare material. I think it's time to try Queen. One slightly annoying thing with this packaging is it doesn't tell you the track listing anywhere. It'd be nice if it was on the back of the card. But anyway, here we go. So it's downloading from the cloud, and then we're off.
Is this just fantasy?
One interesting addition on the Queen card over the Beatles ones is track numbers. You can see them appear in the centre of the screen. There's a total of 16 tracks on this album. And again, each one is represented by an image as well. If we were to click on that one, you can see the digits disappear, and we're just left with the nice pixel art. Of course, that is Flash. Let's see if you can recognise any of these other ones. Of course, that is another one, Bites the Dust. Easy one, Bicycle Race. You're My Best Friend. Don't Stop Me Now. Play the Game. And We Are the Champions.
We are the champions.
Right, now because my interest in this to start with was playing these music cards, I've been doing things in a rather odd order because I should have started off by looking at the app and playing through the tips, and that explains quite a few things about how to use this device which aren't immediately obvious. For example, if you want that nightlight feature, you have to turn it on its face like that. That will also activate the light that comes on in the morning. It isn't one of those wake up lights that gets brighter and brighter. It's just a light that comes on to say, look, it's all right to get up at this time of day. And I've also noticed that this isn't the weather. It just seems to be that image for daytime, then there's a moon at night time. And another thing I haven't done, in the box there was this card that comes with it, and I think this is going to be the startup card, which I haven't played yet, so let's just pop that in there now.
Stick with me for a few minutes and I'll take you through 10 top tips for getting started with Yoto. How to play cards and all the basic Yoto player controls. I'll also tell you about all the...
Right, so those are the same tips that you get in the app. So if you were to download the app, you could go through these tips before you buy the device, I think, and then it will give you a bit of a clue as to how it all operates, and then you can find out whether it's suitable for you. I think so. It's hard to know whether you need this device connected for that to work. But another thing that you need to do, once you get the device, is just pop all your cards into it as soon as possible. You don't have to play through them, you just have to pop them in the device, and then that initiates the download into its internal 32 gigabytes of memory. So for example, I'll just pop Peppa Pig in there now, and it pops the cloud image up on the screen, and then if I just take that out now, round the back, that's now downloading it, so that then if we take it away from Wi-Fi, it will operate immediately without having to connect it up again. And also, it doesn't have the delay for the cloud to go through the various different chapters. So we've got the French one in there now as well. So it knows now that I own both of those. And if I go into the app here, yeah, so here's the download queue. You can see it's downloading the French at the moment, and then we've got the previous cards that we downloaded earlier on. Okay, now with the cards loaded into the memory, everything happens a lot quicker. You pop the card in, it starts playing straight away. And just to give you an idea of the controls again, this jumps forward through the chapters, this jumps backwards through the chapters, that's the volume. This enables you to skim through without jumping until you select it. And then once the chapter is playing, it will remember where it's up to whenever you remove the card. So if you were playing a long story, you take the card out, and then when you pop it back in, it continues where it last left off.
How far is it to the museum, Fifi? I should ask the taxi driver? Okay. Excusez-moi, le musée du Louvre est à quelle distance d'ici?
Le musée est à 5 minutes d'ici.
Merci. It's 5 minutes to the museum, Fifi. That's not far at all.
D'où venez...
It's got some nice stereo effects on there. Right, now there's just one thing I want to do with this that I haven't done yet, and that's try out these make your own cards. So let's get on with that. So in here I've got 5 plastic cards which are indistinguishable from each other, so they provide you with some stickers to enable you to identify them. We've got various different designs here. You'd write on these, of course, once you stick them onto the plastic. One with the record on it, and I like that one with the cassette on it, so I'm going to use that. I've got my card here, so let's put something on this one. Right, now I'd write at the top of there what is on this card. However, I'm not going to do that just yet because I've already made a card up in the app, and I'm just going to allocate it to this one.
Hello, this is a make your own card from Yoto. You can make a card from stories, songs and sounds that you record yourself.
Right, well, that was very clear. It took about 10 minutes to go through though, so let's go back to where we were. I want to link this card that's in the player, so let's try that now and see if this works. Yeah, we've got a recording icon and a tick. Brilliant. Right, so this card should now be working. Here we go. As you can see, you can create your own icon in the app. There's a load of stuff in this app. I'm not going to go through it all, but you can really have a good play around with this. There's a lot of different features here. So I've just put one audio track on this. If there were more, I'd be able to skip through them just as you would with any other card. So we can just take that out and then pop it back in, and it continues where it was. Right, so we'll start with that one, and now I'm going to link another card, and this one I'm going to put with some radio stations on it. These are the cards that I've created. I've created a radio card here with some streams on it, so if we just go into that and then link to a card, we're going to use the Yoto player, we're going to link the card now, and there we go, it's linked it up. So now this has I think it's 3 or 4 radio stations I put on here. So this is radio station number 1, hopefully any second now. There we go. Number 2. Takes a little while for the stream to come through, if that one's going to come through at all. Not entirely sure. There we go. Right, and then the 3rd one. And of course you just take it out, pop it back in, it carries on with the station you were last on. Right, so I think that's pretty much everything that I can show on this one. There's quite a lot more that you can do messing around, but let's move on and have a go with the Yoto Mini. Well, that's a nice little thing, isn't it? Looks a little bit more Fisher Price perhaps than the other one. I don't know why. I think it's these dials on the front. I mean, neither of these things are designed for adults, but hold on a minute. Talking of adults, I like that little screen. The pixel art might look even better on that. What else have we got in here? A Yoto card, just like the other one. That'll have the instructions on it, but can also be used to put your own content on. Then we've got a USB lead, USB-C again, and then in this side we've got some instructions. Right, so in the app I'm going to set up another player, set up a Mini, continue, continue. Hold both buttons for 5 seconds to get the code. This is just like the other one. I didn't show you the code last time because I thought it might be unique to the player, but it does change each time, so you don't need to worry about that. F-A-O-Z-I-A. F-A-O-Z-I-A. Yeah, the reason I didn't show it was I might pass this on to someone else, and I didn't want them having something that other people could have access to, but that's not going to be the case. So we're just going to join it to my Wi-Fi, and again, just like the other one, it's got its own internal memory. This has 32 gigabytes, just like the larger one. The earlier versions of this have a smaller amount of memory, 16 gigs. Right, well that's it, we're all done. Up and running. Let's just pop our Cuba Bion card in here again. Okay, so looking around this one, same controls as on the other, just move to the front. Speaker, tiny little screen there. 3.5mm headphone output, power on off button, place for the card at the top, a loop for a lanyard, and that's about it. Neat little thing. Let's pop it next to the other one. Now you can see from that the screen on the small one is more contrasty, if that's a term, than the large one. The black is black on there, whereas it's grey on the other one. And I do think perhaps the pixel artwork is more suited to this tiny little screen. It's only really the size of my thumb, or the top half of it at least, but it's a nice little device this. It feels well made. I mean, solid little thing. I mean, it has to be if it's for kids, but you know, nice rounded corners on it. I like that. Right, let's try playing one of the cards we've already got. Now this, again, we'll have to start downloading from the cloud when we pop it in here. That's if it works at all. And it'll be a little bit slow to get off and running initially. So you see the cloud icon on there. But there we go. It's working now.
Peppa Pig. Bedtime Stories.
It's a very nice, clear little speaker, that as well. Now, whilst this just has the single speaker on the front, it will output in stereo over the 3.5mm or via Bluetooth. So you can connect your headphones up to this device, put your music card in the top, and you've got perhaps the most hipster of personal stereos. I don't know if hipsters are still around, but anyway, that's Penny Lane, that's Sergeant Pepper's, and I think you can perhaps guess some of these others as we go through them. Magical Mystery Tour, that's Hey Jude, Blackbird, Here Comes the Sun. But then again, there are much better options for listening to your music on the go, even if you were only ever interested in playing these two Beatles albums, because they're quite heavily curated on this format, much shorter in length than usual. The red album is just 29 minutes in length, the blue one is 40. Now the Queen album, well, that is 52 minutes, but then again, also bear in mind that these are the only 3 titles that are available on this format for popular music albums. It might be the only 3 titles that are ever going to come out. It's amusing that they're on this format, but yeah, I wouldn't go buying it just to play popular music. It's much better as a child's edutainment device. Another thing to say about these, I don't know what the bitrate is on them at all. I can't find that information out. I suspect it's not all that high. Now I'd like to give you a demonstration of the difference in the sound quality between these two. I'm going to be playing the speakers at maximum volume into the camera's microphone, so you'll be able to hear the tonal differences at least, if not a perfect representation of what it would sound like in person. Now of course I can't play either of these two for the obvious reasons. In fact, I've lost the blue one, I don't know where it's gone. By the way, if you do lose one, you can still just copy the one that's in your library onto one of these blank Yoto cards. So if you do happen to misplace one of these, you haven't lost access to it. It's still in your library and you can just make a new one up. But anyway, I'll find it. It's underneath something. But since I can't play those, I'm going to play this. This is some music from the YouTube audio library that I've put onto a card. Well, I've put the access to it onto a card, if you know what I mean, because of course it's in the cloud. I think we'll start off by playing it on the large one first. Oh, and by the way, if there was any confusion as to whether or not this was the weather for today, today has proved that it isn't, because it's absolutely chucking it down outside and this is still sunny with clouds. So it'd be nice if they added that functionality to show the weather, but yeah, that's just the daytime symbol, so at least we've figured that out at last. It's been like that for the last couple of days, which caused a bit of confusion. But anyway, let's put this card in and have a listen. I'm just putting my headphones into pairing mode there. We're going to see if we can pair this device with them, just to check how well it works. Yeah, there we go. We're in Bluetooth pairing, and I'm supposed to select between the speaker or the headphones. So if I do that now, it's a very nice little user interface on this. So I presume once that goes on permanently, it will be connected up to my headphones. There we go. So let's put some music in that we are allowed to play. Yes, that works just fine. See if we can pause it from here as well. Yep, that's working. You can see the pause on the screen. By the way, the pause can be activated by briefly pressing the power button on the side there as well. Oh, one last thing, you might have noticed when you put this in here, there's a lot more of the label visible than when you pop it in the mini one. And of course that's because when you're carrying this around, you don't want to be able to lose the card. So it holds it nice and secure in this one, a little bit more grippy really than the large one, which just rests it in there loosely, but you can quite easily remove it. Now this video really just started off with me talking about an unusual music format release, although it's barely a format, it's just music on the internet accessible via
NFC.
But anyway, unusual packaging for music albums. However, I was only going to show those cards being played back on this main unit here. I just added the Mini to the basket at the last moment because I thought I should show the whole range. Turns out I really do like the form factor of the Mini, and I think for many people this would be the better option of the two. I prefer the screen on it for one thing. The contrast is a lot better, and I think the pixel art looks better on a smaller screen. But of course we've only got the one speaker on here, whereas the large one has a nice big stereo speakers that are richer in quality. It's also got the ability to have the nightlight on there and connect up with that magnetic charging base. As far as battery life goes, by the way, this has a 14 hours on one charge battery life. This is up to, actually it says over 24 hours, so quite a big difference, but of course quite a big size difference between the two as well. This is a lot better to carry around, and there are protective carrying cases available for this, and it's compatible with all the cards. It does pretty much everything that anyone might want of one of these devices. So really, I think if you were looking between these two and you wanted to save yourself a bit of money, I'd probably go for this one. Talking about money, in the UK, this one at the moment is £60. The large one is £100, and the cards are £11.99. Yeah, I couldn't resist having a look at this after finding out that these album releases were coming out on a child's toy. I mean, what next? David Bowie on Fisher-Price. However, I really do appreciate this Yoto player system. I think it works really well. If I knew anyone with kids the right age, I'd be giving this to them. And if you knew any adults who were into either the Beatles or Queen, you could either just perhaps buy them one of the cards, which I think should just work with the phone, or if not, buy them a card and the little player if they want the whole set. Just a novelty thing for adults perhaps, but for children a really good educational toy, especially with all the additional cards that come for this. And I've only just scratched the surface on the format. So yeah, have have a good look at the Yoto player if you've got any kids yourself that are the right age, or you know anyone with kids, and it might be something to give them for Christmas. But there you go. That's the Yoto. That's Queen and the Beatles on the Yoto. And that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.